Hi, I'm Ben Brown. As Trey mentioned, I run a company called Howdy here in Austin. We are that's me, Ben Brown, on Twitter. Howdy AI is our company. Can you see that? Yeah. So we are a Slack bot that does a sort of group communication productivity service. A lot of you may be familiar with the idea of like an agile stand-up check-in where, you know, a group of people on a product team or a project team will, come together, stand up, and each person on the team gives like a couple-minute update about what they're doing. And it's a very, very formulated thing. You say, you know, what did you do yesterday? What are you working on today? Is anything blocking you? So we look at, and this is a very rote process that happens in thousands and thousands of companies all over the world. And it's the same thing every single day. And I've been a part of these things as a consultant and developer for years and years. And I find them to be useful because you exchange this information, but it's not like directly useful. Like, we don't make decisions or take actions at these meetings. We just spend a lot of time sharing information. So we thought, how can a bot help this? So what Howdy does is it lives in your Slack channel alongside your team, and at 10 a.m. Every day or whenever you want, it'll go out and it'll ask those questions of your team. Instead of doing it in sequence, though, it does it simultaneously, right? So everybody at the same time spends 3 or 4 minutes talking to Howdy in a private channel and answering those 3 or 4 questions. And then what the bot does is it collects all that information, puts it into a nice document, and shares it back into the main channel. So instead of the half an hour that you might spend simply exchanging the information, you spend 3 or 4 minutes exchanging that information. You get a concrete document that lives on, that can be referred back to in the future, that can be shared with people who missed the meeting or who didn't want to be involved in the meeting. And you also get 27 minutes back to take action, make decisions, and discuss the information that was shared. So we find this to be a really valuable thing, and people are getting a lot out of it. This is what it looks like when you actually deal with it. Sorry, should have narrated that a little bit, but like you can see there a report about my wife, who's my co-founder, and I having a daily check-in. So this is just a model of how we see this kind of interaction in Slack. There's a ton of different things that you can do that sort of fall into this model. We see people doing everything ranging from like collecting lunch orders, right? Like, hey, what do you want to eat for lunch? Collects the lunch order. The office manager gets a nice formatted menu of things that people want to eat. They just hand it to the person at the restaurant and there's the order. But we also see things like content creation and content collection, right? Like, I need story ideas from everybody on the team, talk to Howdy, and the bot will collect that and return it to the editor. Or like creating the content for a newsletter, share the interesting links that you've seen this week. So lots of different ways to apply this kind of technique. And this is just the beginning for us. We sort of see ourselves as like the people who make R2-D2, right? Like R2-D2 came rolling off the assembly line. He was like a blank robot that knew how to do a couple of things, like say hello, say goodbye, and receive commands. But what those commands are up to the person who owns the robot. So Howdy is like a open-ended scripting, or scriptable. So lots of different things can happen. A lot of the people who are excited about bots got excited about bots because of Slack. And, why is that? And, Trey was talking about this a little bit, but, Slack launched a couple of years ago. And this is the graph that I used to use when I gave talks, because this is like really cool, right? Like, the growth of Slack was phenomenally fast, and in the first 6 months or 8 months they went from 0 to 500,000 people, right? And this is the graph that they animated it because it was like, whoa, look at how fast we grew. Well, like now this is the new graph, or this is even slightly out of date. So in 2 years they grew to 2 million monthly active users, and the retention rate on Slack is insane. Like it's like 90%, right? So people adopt Slack, they stay in Slack, the entire organization, one engineer in the back office starts using Slack, and 2 months later the entire organization is onboarded, and it's a critical daily tool. So this is even out of date. They in the first quarter this year they added 700,000 more monthly active users, right? So they are another half on top of this. It's crazy. So, and never before, people were in chat rooms before in IRC and things like that, but those were like the technical people, right? The server management people. Now we have the marketing team, we have the HR team, we have the designers, we have everybody in the entire organization in chat rooms together. So they'd never had this opportunity to use this kind of software, to have the automation and contextual services just come to them like they can in Slack. But it's not just Slack, as Trey mentioned, like messaging platforms are incredibly popular and growing faster than any of the other applications. So these are, this is from this Activate consultancy, but look at WhatsApp, look at Facebook Messenger. This is out of date again. So hold on. Oop, no, out of order here. Hundreds of millions of people inside these messaging applications. And how many, there is a small handful of publications and applications that actually live in these things now, right? It's a wide open space for content and services to be delivered that in a way that it hasn't been happening before, and it's a sort of Wild West, blue sky opportunity for people to be the first in here and figure out what's going on. So we are a venture-funded startup. I apologize for that. And we have like a SaaS product and all of that, and it's going well for us. But more than the productivity tools and efficiency gains that we can get in the workplace, the feedback that we've been getting is like, wow, like you guys, get bots and can help people figure out like how bots work and what they do well, and just help this world of bots actually take root. So in partnership with Slack, we created this open source tool called BotKit, which is a node module. It's free to use, that allows people to very quickly and easily create bot applications. So the goal of BotKit is basically to take care of all the technical details, right? Like when you actually get down into the nitty-gritty of these things, it's a little bit complicated, right? You're dealing with API protocols on Slack. You're dealing with like live web socket connections, which are difficult to maintain and program. And every different messaging platform has its own set of protocols and specialties. We wanted to just abstract that away and give developers and designers the tools that were sort of language-like, that allow them to just model human communication and conversations without having to deal with all that technical details. So BotKit is great, right? We're powering a lot of the most popular apps in the Slack App Store. There's 1,500 member developer community that we host. On GitHub, it's got 2,800 stars. I don't really know what that means, but and we've had 83 merge pull requests so far, which means that 83 developers out there in the world have spent their time contributing, improvements to our code base, and we've merged those into the project so that everybody can benefit. There's like half a dozen or 10. Plugins that have been built to tie into different natural language processing tools and database storage tools and all sorts of stuff. So it's very, very easy to get started. And then we just launched on Tuesday support for Facebook Messenger, right? There's 900 million people who use Facebook Messenger every day, or every month. There are maybe 6 applications that live inside Facebook Messenger so far, right? And as of Tuesday, that's wide open to every one of us, right? Every single page on Facebook can now have a bot connected to it and have automated information or services delivered to people. And that's just the beginning, right? Like you can associate people with their cell phone number and deliver messages to them via Facebook Messenger. I really see this being connected to things like commerce and context, where any type of action that you take that might have your phone number associated with it could result in like the beginning of a conversation with a bot. So it's a really, really exciting time. So, excuse me. When you're building a bot, the building blocks you have are words. I find it to be like the most exciting and pleasant design constraint that I've dealt with. I've been building software for 20 years. It's been increasingly complicated and like graphically intense, and just kind of inexpensive and complicated and just a pain in the ass. And when you boil it all, when you are forced to boil it all down to just a few words, it really forces you to understand what you're talking about, what kind of service you're delivering. Bots hear things, they say things, they ask questions, and those are the building blocks of having conversations. BotKit gives you those tools. This is an entire Hello World bot that fits into a tweet, right? That's like the entire code of an entire bot that connects to Slack, and when you say hello to it, it'll say hello back, right? This is not complicated stuff. The difficulty is in the use of language, the design of the experience, the guiding the user through the options that they have, because we don't have global navigation in a bot. We don't have like a graphic design grid system to show somebody a whole bunch of options. We have one message, maybe two messages to lead them through it. This is like what your average sort of BotKit function looks like, right? So this is just sort of an expanded version of what I showed before. I say hello, the bot replies hello, right? Like this is code that like your average person hopefully will be able to write. It's modeled after language and conversation. And this is the full code of a Facebook bot, right? So again, like this is a completely different system underneath the hood of a Slack bot, but it looks exactly the same. This allows you to say hello to somebody who greets you on Facebook Messenger, right? Very, very easy, and like we give people like you the tools to actually create the content, create the experiences without having to deal with the code. So this is Dev for Slack. You can join. This is the 1,500 developer community. Love to have anybody there. It's a Slack. It's open. You can sign up yourself. Thank you.